The civilian transport Novus Spes lumbered through the void, its ancient engines straining against the vastness of space. On board, Centurion Gaius Varro stood at the viewport, his weathered face reflected in the transparent steel as he gazed at the distant stars. Behind him, the ship's common area buzzed with the chatter of civilians and the subdued conversations of his fellow soldiers. Gaius ran a hand through his close-cropped hair, feeling the new scars that marred his scalp. The campaign on Crawler Prime had been brutal, a nightmarish slog through alien jungles and chitinous hordes. He could still hear the chittering of the crunchies in his dreams, could still smell the acrid stench of burnt insectoid flesh. Credit for your thoughts, Centurion. The voice belonged to Lucia Antonius, his second in command. She moved to stand beside him, her own face bearing the marks of their recent battles. Just thinking of home, Lucia Gaius replied, his voice gravelly from disuse. Of Drydus's green fields and clear skies. After so long in that insect-infested hell, it seems almost like a dream. Lucia nodded, understanding in her eyes. The men feel the same. Marcus hasn't stopped talking about his mother's cooking since we left Crawler Prime. As if summoned by his name, Marcus Decimus appeared, the youngest of their group. His boyish face belied the hardened warrior beneath. Centurion, Lucia, you've got to try these nutrient packs. I swear they almost taste like real food. Gaius couldn't help but smile. Even after all they'd been through, Marcus still maintained his irrepressible spirit. It was a testament to the resilience of the Drydus soldier. The other two members of their small band, the taciturn sniper Quintus and the battle-scarred veteran Titus, sat at a nearby table, engrossed in a game of holochess. They acknowledged their commander with respectful nods before returning to their match. As Gaius watched his team, a wave of pride washed over him. They had been through hell together, had faced down horrors that would have broken lesser men. And now, finally, they were heading home. The ship shuddered slightly, drawing Gaius's attention back to the viewport. They were passing through a debris field, remnants of some long-forgotten battle. It was a stark reminder that even here, in the fringes of Drydus space, danger lurked. Centurion Lucia's voice was low, her eyes scanning the debris. Does something feel off to you? Gaius nodded, his soldiers' instincts prickling. The debris field was too uniform, too perfectly positioned. As if. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The captain's voice, tinged with panic, came over the intercom. All passengers, brace for impact. We're under attack. As if materializing from the very void itself, a sleek frigate emerged from behind a large piece of debris. Its hull was matte black, devoid of any identifying marks. Pirates. Gaius's mind raced, assessing the situation with the speed and precision of a veteran commander. The Novus Spes was a civilian transport, practically defenseless against a warship. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and in all likelihood, outnumbered. But Gaius Varro had not survived the horrors of Crawler Prime by admitting defeat. He turned to his team, seeing the same determination reflected in their eyes. "Well, soldiers," he said, a grim smile playing on his lips, "it seems our journey home just got a bit more interesting. Prepare for boarding action. We may be on leave, but we're still soldiers of Drydus, and we will not go quietly." As his team sprang into action, Gaius cast one last look at the approaching pirate ship. They had faced down chittering hordes and nightmarish alien queens. A bunch of low-life pirates, they wouldn't know what hit them. The battle for the Novus Spes was about to begin, and Centurion Gaius Varro intended to remind these pirates why the soldiers of Drydus were feared across the galaxy. The Novus Spes shuddered violently as the pirate frigate's energy weapons struck its hull. Gaius Varro braced himself against the bulkhead, his mind racing through combat scenarios. "Lucia, get to the bridge. Coordinate with the captain," Gaius barked. "Marcus Quintus, secure the engine room. Titus, you're with me. We need to organize the civilians." As his team dispersed, Gaius turned to address the panicked passengers. "Citizens of Drydus, hear me. I am Centurion Gaius Varro. My team and I will defend this ship, but we need your cooperation." His authoritative voice cut through the chaos, drawing all eyes to him. Those with medical training, prepare to treat casualties. Anyone with engineering experience, report to the engine room. The rest of you, stay calm and follow our instructions." The civilians, recognizing the presence of seasoned soldiers, began to organize themselves. Gaius nodded approvingly. The spirit of Drydus was strong in these people. Suddenly, Lucia's voice crackled over the comm. "Centurion, the pirates have disabled our engines. They're preparing to board." Gaius's mind raced. They were vastly outnumbered, with limited weapons and no backup. But they had one advantage: home ground. "Titus," he called to his grizzled companion, "time to get creative. How's your welding?" Minutes later, as the first boarding pod latched onto the Novus Spes' airlock, Gaius and Titus lay in wait. The airlock hissed open, and a group of pirates rushed in, weapons raised. They never stood a chance. Gaius triggered the makeshift trap they'd hastily constructed. Superheated plasma from a jerry-rigged conduit flooded the chamber, turning the airlock into an inferno. The pirates' screams were mercifully short. "One down," Gaius muttered grimly. "Probably a dozen more to go." Across the ship, his team was holding their own. Marcus and Quintus had fortified the engine room, using coolant pipes to create zones of freezing mist that disoriented and slowed the invaders. Lucia had rallied a group of ex-military passengers, forming a second line of defense near the bridge. But the pirates kept coming. They were well-equipped and clearly experienced, pressing their advantage of numbers. Gaius found himself in a desperate close-quarters battle, his vibroblade clashing against a pirate's monomolecular cutlass. For Drydus, Gaius roared, headbutting the pirate before driving his blade into the man's throat. Around him, civilians armed with improvised weapons fought alongside his soldiers, displaying the indomitable spirit of their people. Hours seemed to pass in a blur of combat. Gaius lost count of the enemies he'd downed, his armor scorched and dented, his arms aching from exertion. But slowly, inexorably, they were pushing the pirates back. Then, over the comm, came Marcus's excited voice. "Centurion, we've captured one of their officers. He says he can order a retreat." Gaius allowed himself a grim smile. "Excellent work, Marcus. Bring him to the bridge. It's time we turned the tables on these scum." As he made his way to the bridge, stepping over the bodies of fallen pirates, Gaius's mind was already racing ahead. They had won this battle against impossible odds. But as he gazed out the viewport at the sleek pirate frigate, a plan began to form in his mind. Why stop at defending the Novus Spes? With a ship like that at their command, they could do so much more for Drydus. They could strike at the enemies of the Confederation in ways the regular military never could. Gaius Varro entered the bridge, his eyes gleaming with the light of new purpose. The battle was won, but the real adventure was just beginning. The bridge of the Novus Spes was a hive of activity as Gaius strode in, his armor still smoking from the recent battle. The captured pirate officer, a swarthy man with a cybernetic eye, knelt before him, flanked by Marcus and Quintus. Centurion, Lucia reported, her voice crisp despite the fatigue evident on her face. "The pirate attacks have ceased, but their frigate is still in attack position." Gaius nodded, then turned his attention to the captive. "You have a choice, pirate. Order your men to stand down and surrender, or we'll send you back to them piece by piece." The pirate captain glared defiantly but seemed to deflate under Gaius's unwavering gaze. "Fine," he spat. "I'll give the order." As the pirate transmitted the surrender code, Gaius's mind raced with possibilities. He turned to his team, his eyes gleaming with a mix of exhaustion and excitement. "Listen up, soldiers. We've won this battle, but I propose we take it a step further. That frigate out there, it's a powerful ship, with technology that could greatly benefit the Confederation." Titus, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. "What are you suggesting, Centurion? That we steal it?" "Not steal," old friend Gaius replied with a grim smile. "Commandeer, for the glory of Drydus." The team exchanged glances, a mix of surprise and growing excitement on their faces. It was Lucia who voiced what they were all thinking. "Sir, that's unconventional. But if anyone could pull it off, it's us." Gaius nodded, pleased with their response. "All right, here's the plan. We'll use the pirate captain to gain access to their ship. Once aboard, we neutralize any remaining resistance and take control." "And the civilians?" Marcus asked, gesturing to the passengers who had fought alongside them. "We secure them first," Gaius assured him. "Their safety is our primary concern." With renewed purpose, the team sprang into action. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. They secured the Novus Spaz, treated the wounded, and prepared for the daring takeover of the pirate frigate. As they boarded the enemy ship, Gaius felt a familiar rush of adrenaline. This was what they were trained for: adapting, overcoming, conquering. The remaining pirates, demoralized by their captain's capture and the fierce resistance they'd encountered, put up little fight. Standing on the bridge of the captured frigate, Gaius allowed himself a moment of pride. His small team of soldiers had not only defended a civilian transport against overwhelming odds, but had also captured an advanced warship. As Lucia began to familiarize herself with the ship's systems, she let out a low whistle. "Centurion, you need to see this. The technology on this ship. It's beyond anything in our standard fleet. Stealth systems, advanced weaponry, long-range sensors." Gaius nodded, his suspicions confirmed. This was no ordinary pirate vessel. Its existence pointed to a larger threat lurking in the shadows of the Confederation. As they set course for the nearest Drydus naval base, Gaius gathered his team. "You've all served with distinction," he said, his voice filled with pride. "But I believe our greatest service to Drydus lies ahead. This ship gives us an opportunity to strike at the enemies of the Confederation in ways the regular military cannot." He paused, looking each of them in the eye. "I propose we use this ship to become privateers for Drydus, operating in the shadows, free from the constraints of bureaucracy and corrupt senators. What say you?" One by one, his team nodded their agreement. They were soldiers of Drydus, sworn to protect the Confederation. If that meant becoming privateers, then so be it. As the captured frigate sped towards Drydus space, Gaius Varro stood at the helm, his heart swelling with purpose. They had started this journey as weary soldiers heading home. They would finish it as the vanguard of a new chapter in Drydus history. The Centurion's Corsairs were born, and the enemies of Drydus would soon learn to fear the shadows of space. The captured pirate frigate glided through the void, its sleek black hull absorbing starlight like a shadow-given form. On the bridge, Gaius Varro and his team worked tirelessly to master their new vessel's advanced systems. Centurion Lucia called from the navigation console, her fingers dancing over holographic displays. "You need to see this. The ship's database. It's encrypted, but I've managed to access some of it. The navigational charts alone are worth a fortune in unexplored trade routes." Gaius nodded, a grim smile playing on his lips. "Excellent work, Lucia. What else can you tell me about our new acquisition?" Titus spoke up from the engineering station, his gruff voice tinged with awe. "The propulsion system is like nothing I've ever seen, sir. It's at least 3 generations ahead of our most advanced designs, and the power core. It's putting out enough energy to run a small colony." "Weapons are equally impressive," Quintus added, his sniper's eyes gleaming as he pored over the tactical displays. "Plasma cannons, guided missile systems, and something that looks like a prototype gravity weapon. We could take on a light cruiser with this loadout." Marcus, the youngest of the group, couldn't contain his excitement. "And the stealth systems. Centurion, we could slip past any blockade, infiltrate any system. The potential for covert operations is enormous." Gaius absorbed the information, his mind racing with possibilities. This ship was more than just a powerful weapon. It was a key that could unlock doors the Drydus Confederation had long thought closed. "Sir," Lucia said, her voice hesitant, "what exactly do we plan to do with this ship when we reach Drydus space? Military command will certainly want to study it, maybe even dismantle it for its technology." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. They had all been thinking it, but Lucia was the first to voice their shared concern. Gaius took a deep breath, looking each of his team members in the eye. "You've all served Drydus with honor and distinction, but we've also seen the rot that threatens our Confederation from within. Corrupt senators, bureaucratic gridlock, decisions made for political gain rather than the good of our people." He gestured to the ship around them. "This vessel gives us an opportunity to serve Drydus in a way the regular military cannot. As privateers, we could strike at the enemies of the Confederation, gather intelligence, protect our interests, all while operating outside the constraints that bind our official forces. The team exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. "It won't be easy," Gaius continued. "We'll be walking a fine line between duty and rebellion. But I believe it's necessary for the future of Drydus." One by one, his team nodded their agreement. They were soldiers, sworn to protect the Confederation. If that meant becoming privateers, then so be it. As they approached the outer markers of Drydus space, Gaius felt a sense of destiny settling over him. They had left Crawler Prime as weary soldiers, eager for home and rest. They would return as something more, the vanguard of a new era for the Confederation. "Set course for Naval Station Invictus," Gaius ordered, his voice filled with newfound purpose. "It's time to present our proposal to High Command." As the sleek black frigate accelerated towards its destination, Gaius allowed himself a moment of reflection. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and moral ambiguity, but he was a soldier of Drydus, and duty was his lodestar. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Gaius Varro and his team would face them head-on, for the glory of Drydus and the future of the Confederation. The Centurion's Corsairs were about to make their debut on the galactic stage, and the enemies of Drydus would soon learn to fear the shadows between the stars. Naval Station Invictus loomed before them, a massive structure of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. As the captured frigate approached, a flurry of comm signals bombarded them, demanding identification and intentions. Gaius took a deep breath. "This is it," he said to his team. "Remember, we're here to serve Drydus, not to rebel against it. Let me do the talking." The docking procedure was tense, with squads of armed Marines surrounding the ship as soon as it touched down. Gaius and his team disembarked with their hands raised, faced with a wall of plasma rifles and suspicious glares. Centurion Gaius Varro, reporting with a captured enemy vessel, Gaius announced calmly. What followed was a whirlwind of debriefings, interrogations, and examinations. Military intelligence grilled them for hours about the pirate attack and the subsequent capture of the frigate. Technical teams swarmed over the ship, marveling at its advanced systems. Finally, after what seemed like days, Gaius and his team were summoned to a high-level meeting with the station's command staff. The atmosphere was tense as they entered the conference room, facing a panel of stern-faced officers. Admiral Claudius Severus, a battle-hardened veteran with cybernetic implants glinting at her temples, spoke first. "Centurion Varro, your actions in defending the civilian transport and capturing this advanced vessel are commendable. However, your proposal to become privateers is highly irregular." Gaius stepped forward, his voice steady. "With all due respect, Admiral, irregular times call for irregular measures. The ship we've captured represents technology far beyond what should be in the hands of mere pirates. It points to a larger threat lurking in the shadows of our Confederation." He paused, letting his words sink in. "As privateers, we could operate in ways the regular military cannot. We could gather intelligence, strike at hidden enemies, all while maintaining plausible deniability for the Confederation." The officers murmured among themselves, some nodding thoughtfully, others frowning in disapproval. Suddenly the door slid open, and a hush fell over the room. Emperor Julius Franco himself strode in, his presence commanding instant respect. "Your Majesty," the officers said in unison, rising to salute. Franco waved them down, his piercing gaze fixed on Gaius. "I've reviewed your proposal, Centurion Varro. It's bold, perhaps even reckless. But these are times that require bold action." The Emperor paced the room, his voice thoughtful. "The Senate's corruption hampers our military efforts, ties our hands when decisive action is needed. Your idea, it has merit." He turned to face Gaius and his team. "Very well. I hereby grant you and your team a special commission. You will operate as deniable assets of the Drydus Confederation, striking at our enemies from the shadows." A ripple of surprise ran through the room. Admiral Severus started to protest, but Franco silenced her with a look. "The ship is yours," Centurion Franco continued. "Use it well. You'll report directly to me, bypassing the regular chain of command. Your missions will be of the utmost secrecy and importance." Gaius felt a weight settle on his shoulders, the burden of this new responsibility. But along with it came a sense of purpose, of rightness. This was how he could best serve Drydus. "We won't let you down, Your Majesty," Gaius said, snapping to attention. His team followed suit, their faces a mix of awe and determination. As they left the conference room, now officially the first privateers of the Drydus Confederation, Gaius turned to his team. "Well, it looks like our shore leave has been extended indefinitely. Are you ready for this?" Lucia grinned, a fierce light in her eyes. "Born ready, Centurion. The enemies of Drydus won't know what hit them." Titus nodded gruffly. It'll be good to do some real work, without all the bureaucratic nonsense." Marcus was practically bouncing with excitement. "Just think of the adventures we'll have. The mysteries we'll uncover." Quintus, ever the quiet one, simply nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. As they walked towards their ship now, in truth Gaius felt a surge of pride and anticipation. They were about to embark on a new chapter in their lives, and in the history of Drydus itself. The Centurion's Corsairs were officially born, and as they prepared to launch into the vast unknown of space, Gaius Varro knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, for the glory of Drydus and for the future of all humanity. The stars awaited, and with them, adventure, danger, and the chance to shape the destiny of an empire. It was time to make the enemies of Drydus fear the shadows between the stars. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe and leave it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.